Hey y'all, this is Michael Beasley here with Stewart and Grow Real Estate, and I'm joined by Mr. Tony Castronovo of Novo Multifamily Group. And today we're talking about 6 questions to ask multifamily syndication sponsors when they present a deal to you. Tony and I both provide direct real estate investment opportunity to our investors. And I'd like to start off, Tony, let me ask you the first question. What is the background of your sponsorship team?
Great question, Michael. And by the way, thanks for having me on your video. I think it's a great start off question when you're talking to a new sponsor that you haven't worked with before, or maybe the team is a little bit different configuration than perhaps you're used to. I think it's good to understand all the general partners on the team, a little bit about their background experience in multifamily. Perhaps, trying to understand, have they worked in this vintage or this class of property?
When you say vintage, for those who don't know, just tell me a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, vintage is really just the year of the property. Is this, 60s, 70s, 80s, brand new property? And so really just trying to focus in on, is this something that's maybe a value add C class and their experience is in, brand new A class, or vice versa? It'd be nice to know that they have relevant experience in the asset that we're about to purchase. Beyond that, just really understanding the dynamics of the team, maybe their roles, and understanding kind of the experience level to fulfill those roles. And really just, how did the team come together? Are they all working for the same company? Have they known each other for a number of years? Are they part of the same mentoring group? What's the relationship between the sponsors? So Michael, I'm going to ask you a question here. What is the business plan for this deal?
Each deal is different, depending on the market, depending on where you are in the market cycle. Some deals you're getting at a really great deal and it's a heavy value add. Other deals you're going to look at and you're going to pencil it out and say, you know what, this makes more sense as maybe a light to moderate value add. But we're going to be holding this for the long term. We see this as a 10, 20-year hold that we're going to hang on to for a long period of time. I myself, the deals that I do, I'm looking to hold for the long term. So any deals that I look at, that I underwrite, I'm going to be looking at from a buy and hold perspective. I'm going to be looking at a deal saying, is this something that I want to hold 20 years from now? Just because for me, the way that I see things, my investment thesis is I want to have cash flowing properties for the long haul. And my deals, my investors, they have to share that same perspective. So what's the business plan? And does that business plan of the sponsor align with your goals, your values as the investor?
Fantastic.
All right, number 3. This is for you, Tony. What is the exit strategy for the deal? And are there multiple options for exiting the deal?
There's this old adage of you make money when you buy. Well, maybe, but that's all on paper. So when you really make money is when you sell it. And if you don't have the right exit plan in place, then, you're basically taking off your jet airplane and you don't know how or where you're going to land. That's a pretty dangerous proposition. So it would be nice to know that, you've got perhaps an early exit if things are going really well and maybe the market is ripe to sell on kind of this steep curve of you adding value to the property. That could be an option. The maybe baseline plan could be that you're going to hold the property for 5, 6, maybe 7 years, and you're going to continue to cash flow it after you reposition the property. Or maybe, kind of like you were saying, maybe it's a longer term hold, and maybe somewhere along that journey there will be a refinance, pull some cash out, and maybe even, pull all the cash out and have infinite returns. That would be, a wonderful way to run the investment. But the whole point is to ask the sponsor, have they really thought through multiple exit strategies and don't have only one way to get out? Because if there's only one way to get out and something goes wrong, there's really not a great backup plan in place.
all these questions, this is also that the passive investors have a good handle on what's the approach of this sponsorship team and how are they thinking through these different options. So hopefully this is something that we can add value to a passive investor as they're thinking of who are they going to place their capital with and who they're going to invest with.
Yeah, and I kind of hinted a little bit on the topic of risk. So let me ask you, perhaps to respond to a question you might ask a sponsor. So what's the largest risk about the deal and what would you do about it?
If anyone tells you there's no risk, this is 100% sealed, there's not going to be any risk, run, because they're lying to you. A good investment is a risk-adjusted investment. So if you're looking at an investment, you know that there are going to be risks. Well, where are those risks? So maybe it's a market where the sponsorship team hasn't entered yet. Maybe they're just getting into that market, and so they're not as experienced as they have been in other markets. You have to factor in, are tenants going to be leaving as we start to go in and renovate units? Sometimes that does happen. The building, are we going to be going in there and the plumbing fixtures are going to have to be replaced, and that's going to be a huge capex item. But number two, the second part of the question is, what are you going to do about it? What are those things that you're putting in place as an underwriter, as a sponsorship team, that are going to mitigate those risks? Let's say the risk is the market. It's your brand new market. Have they connected with people who are there, boots on the ground in that market? What is their experience like? What have they done in the past? So just looking at the different risks, you're going to have risk within a deal, but you have to see how are they mitigating that risk to be able to provide that return for their investors. So number 5, what would you tell your mother or a family member about this deal? So you're talking across the room, you're talking to mom. What are you going to say to mom about this deal?
Yeah, I love this question because if you believe as a sponsor in your deal, then you would be completely comfortable in your mother, your father, your brother, your sister being in the deal. And, I remember when I was 16 years old, I actually went door to door selling vacuum cleaners. And my mother was the first customer I had. And this is not a cheap vacuum cleaner, but I did my pitch to her, right? All the great things that this vacuum cleaner could do. It could mow your lawn, it could sand your walls, it could do whatever. But she bought it. Well, fast forward several years, if I'm trying to talk to my mother about investing her hard-earned money into my deal as a sponsor, I need to be super comfortable that I've really thought through and that I believe in this deal. And I would share with her all the risks and what the benefits of the deal could be as we kind of work through the cash flow, as we talk about exiting the deal and what the net sales proceeds could look like, and what the hurdles are going to be, what the risks are going to be along the way, and how we've thought through them, kind of like you described earlier. Did we think through, put mitigation plans in place for all those risks? So that's what I would say to my mom, and hopefully we get past the vacuum cleaner sales.
I just want to piggyback off that. I follow this guy's name's Chad Doty. He's with this investment company called 37th Parallel. They're based out of Richmond, and they invest in Texas, the Carolinas, all the big markets, and they have like 800 million in assets under management. They're headed for $1 billion. Great company. They do really good work, and they use this metric. It's called this filter. It's like the grandma filter, they call it. They're like, all right, you've got your grandma's last 100,000. Would you put that in the deal? Would you put grandma's last 100,000 in this deal? If so, why? And if not, why not? And it goes right with what you're talking about. If you're not comfortable talking to your mother, and this is your mom's last, now hopefully you're not investing your mom's last 100,000, right? It's just a filter. But hopefully if you are, in your bones that this is the right market, this is the right deal, this is the right team to run the deal. If you don't feel like that, then there's an issue. But a team that is taking a deal that can say, hey, listen, I can bring this to my family where there are risks. I'm mitigating that risk. I'm taking care of their investment. That's where a passive investor can actually feel like, okay, this is a good person to invest my money with because he cares about me. He's not just trying to make an AC fee. He's not just trying to make money on the deal. He actually cares about the other person in the transaction. That's who you want to invest with.
All right. Well, you know what? Then I'm going to give you the last question here. So if you're talking to a sponsor, you're trying to understand the deal a little bit better, why do you, the sponsor we're talking about, want to invest in this deal?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I think I actually added this question to the list. This is something that's kind of personal because the way that they handle that question, I'm a big believer that the way people handle questions says more about what they believe than what they say. I'll say it again. The way that they handle the question will say more about what they believe than what they say. Why would somebody want to invest in this deal? You can give metrics, you can give numbers, you can give the market. But at the end of the day, do you, the sponsor, do you believe in this deal? If this were your last $100,000, would you be putting in the deal? And if someone's a little skittish, someone seems a little bit like they're not super comfortable with that question, maybe do a little bit more digging and find out why that is. If they feel comfortable, that's going to come across. It's kind of a gut thing. It's kind of a feeling that comes across. Not everything in business, there are numbers, there are metrics, and we have to use those things. But a lot of this is, hey, do you believe in this? Is this the right deal for me? Is this the right team for me? So how do they answer that question? Why would you want to invest in the deal? So narrow that down. Hopefully they can narrow it down to one thing. You know, if I'm looking at a deal personally, Michael Beasley, if I look at a deal where I see that it's a B-class asset and I see that long-term, it's going to make sense and it's going to have a lot of demand for the next 20 years, I know that that's why I want to do the deal, because I believe in the market, I believe in the deal, and I believe in the team that's doing the deal. Now, there might be something that maybe somebody comes to me with a deal. Like I've had people come to me with a deal and they're bringing the deal from a different market. It's not my market. So I couldn't in confidence present that to my investors. That's not really my approach. I want to do a very specific thing, very specific market, and build over the long term. So in order for me to feel confident with my investors, if I'm going to be ethical in what I do, I have to make sure that I believe in the deal at my core. Because when I go to somebody, I need to be able to say to them, listen, this is the deal for me. This is the deal for you if you want to be a part of it.
Fantastic, man. Great stuff. What do you think, Michael? Should we wrap it up?
I think we're good, man. Tony, thank you for doing this. Hopefully we're able to add value to some investors here. If people need to get in touch with you, if they want to reach out to you, tell them where they can reach out to you, Tony.
Of course. Thank you for that. They can always email me, Tony at Novo, N-O-V-O, multifamilygroup.com, or then go to my website, which is novomultifamilygroup.com. And there they can learn a little bit more about me, as well as sign up to be on our investor database list.
Thank you, sir. Tony, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. God bless. Take care. Until next time, guys, be good, savvy investors. Don't just invest in anything. Make sure it's the right team. Until next time, take care.